We know MLK, we know Malcolm X, we know Rosa Parks, and we know the iconic Shirley Chisholm. But who are some of the unsung Black heroes that we know nothing about? Well, join me this Black History Month as we walk through 28 days learning about 28 who should be iconic but are unsung Black heroes. Hello everyone, I'm QuentinRJiles, your host of the Q with Q, and welcome to another episode of Unsung Black Heroes. Today, we will be covering the life and the impact of Onesimus. Unfortunately, due to slavery, not much is known about Onesimus before he arrived in Boston, Massachusetts in 1706. He was an enslaved African man sold to Cotton Mather. Now, Cotton Mather was a Puritan minister, and he was a prominent figure during the Salem witch trials. Cotton gave Onesimus his name after a biblical slave whose name meant useful. Mathers wrote about having to watch Onesimus due to what he thought was thievish behavior. Now, how you gonna say he the thief and y'all done stole him and put him in slavery? Anyway, along with slavery, smallpox was one of the era's deadliest afflictions. The disease was easily transmitted among people, which spread to the kidnappers and the enslaved. In 1716, Onesimus told Mather that he knew how to prevent smallpox. Like other white men of the time, Cotton Mather looked down on what he called the devilish rights of Africans. The technique performed on Onesimus and others in his society in Africa was to cut the skin and rub the pus from an infected person into the open wound. This wasn't a vaccination. This was a process of giving someone else a weaker strain of the virus. But the technique would activate the recipient's immune response and protect them against the disease most of the time. Mather was fascinated with what Onesimus told him. I bet he was! He verified Onesimus' story with other enslaved people. Mather further learned the practice had been used in Turkey and China. He spread the word throughout Massachusetts and other colonies in hopes that it would prevent smallpox. The idea was immediately unpopular with colonists. Colonists were reluctant to undergo a medical procedure developed by or for Black people. Mather was vilified and ridiculed by the communities. White colonists did not trust the word of an intelligent African slave named Onesimus. But their opinion changed during the smallpox epidemic of 1721. Mather, and the only doctor in Boston that would support the technique, tested the power of inoculation. The doctor inoculated himself, his son, and his slaves against the disease. And then he inoculated 242 people, and only 6 people died. The people inoculated died at a rate of 1 in 40 compared to the 1 in 7 Bostonians that were not inoculated. The smallpox epidemic of 1721 wiped out 844 people in Boston, over 14% of the population, but there was hope for the future epidemics. Onesimus' knowledge, Mather's support, and the doctor's actions helped set the stage for vaccinations. In 1796, Edward Jenner developed an effective vaccine that used cowpox to provoke smallpox immunity. This worked and led to the smallpox vaccination becoming mandatory in Massachusetts. Now, it isn't clear if Onesimus lived to see the success of the technique he introduced to Mather. Not much is known about his life, other than that he partially purchased his freedom. Now, what is clear is that the knowledge he possessed and passed on saved hundreds of lives and led to the eventual eradication of smallpox. In 1980, the World Health Organization declared smallpox entirely eradicated due to the spread of immunization worldwide. It is the only infectious disease to be completely eradicated. If you don't mind, give this video a thumbs up if you learned something, subscribe for more, and hit the bell notification button to be the first in the queue.